Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we have another installment of This Year in Perfume, and we're all the way to 2013. Just one more year and we'll only be a decade to the modern times, which is just unbelievable that we've caught up so fast. And we're going back and ranking fragrances in my collection or fragrances that I have reviewed on the channel. If I only have like a small decant or something, if I've done a full review, I'm including it in this countdown. And this worked out perfectly because it is a top 25. I'm sure I probably forgot one as usual. It's crazy how fast you guys catch when I accidentally forget one fragrance 5 seconds after uploading the video. Someone's like, you forgot this one. I'm like, damn it, I did. You know my collection better than I do. But I try to include as many as I can. Again, just to recap the idea of this series, we're talking about fragrances that are released in the year 2013. I think it's a great way to just talk about a lot of fragrances at once. Everyone loves lists. I think this is a unique way because sometimes there are similarities between fragrances when they're released in the same year. They're competing against some of the other houses. They're watching the other houses. You can kind of pick up trends and stuff like that. I just think it's a cool way to talk about a lot of different fragrances, and I love rambling and talking about fragrances with you guys. So before we do that though, we are going to do Scent of the Day, and we're going to put ourselves in the mindset of 2013. So first of all, Scent of the Day is a Bortnikoff. I am getting ready to review Oud Maximus. Maybe tomorrow, maybe sometime this weekend. We'll see. It is a long weekend. I think President's Day is Monday. But yes, this is Oud Maximus 2020. I think there was a 2018 version, a 2019, maybe like an autumn of 19 or 19 and autumn of 19, and then 2020. And then I think after this, they stopped putting the years on the bottle. So from here on out, it was just Oud Maximus. Like if you buy a modern bottle, it just says Oud Maximus. So, but anyways, I'm going to review this. And you know what? Wearing it today, I think if I could go back and re-rank my top 77 artisanal fragrances, I think I would put L'Aoud ahead of Oud Maximus. I enjoyed L'Aoud much more, the animalic facet of it. I used to always think, has this ever happened to you? Like you think a fragrance wears one way, and then you wear it more and more, and you realize actually your memory of it is not exactly correct, or maybe your feelings have changed on it. So I don't know. I thought Oud Maximus was much more challenging and animalic, and I still think it is an amazing oud, and I'll do a full review on it. But I think L'Aoud has leapt it, has leapfrogged Oud Maximus for my favorite Bortnikoff in my collection. But there's still this one, and there's still Musk Habib. So more Bortnikoff reviews to come for you artisanal fans. Okay, so let's put ourselves in the mindset of 2013. Here's some top news stories without going into detail. The Boston Marathon bombing, that takes you probably right back to 2013. If you remember, if you were old enough to be out and about in the workforce and read news stories, you know, if you weren't like a little kid back then, you know, the Boston Marathon bombing is something that was headline news all over the place, you know, pressure cookers and all that crazy stuff. The government shutdown was going on. Detroit files for bankruptcy in 2013, which is crazy to think it was that long ago. Feels like yesterday. Apparently the George Zimmerman issue came up, which actually I believe he was acquitted in 2013. I don't think he actually actually pulled the trigger in 2013. I think he was acquitted in 2013, but don't if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. The birth of Prince George with July 22nd, St. Mary's Hospital in London. 8 pounds 6 ounces. That was a big baby. And what else happened in 2013? The Snowden leaks. That's a perfect news story to kind of end on. The Snowden leaks happened, and I believe Nelson Mandela passed away in 2013. So there are some stories that will take you back in time to 2013. Also some songs, Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus, Blurred Lines, Pharrell Williams, My Songs, No, What You Did in the Dark, Light 'Em Up by Fall Out Boy, Get Lucky, Daft Punk, Scream and Shout, will.i.am, Royals by Lorde, Heart Attack by Demi Lovato, Counting Stars by One Republic, Roar by Katy Perry. I just put in top 10 songs, so if there's any genre of music you want to focus on, please put it in the comments. And then some movies, Gravity, Inside, Llewellyn Davis, Blue is the Warmest Color, Nebraska, Rush, Her, The Wolf of Wall Street. It's a fantastic movie. Before Midnight, The Act of Killing, The Conjuring, Blue Jasmine, Frozen, Star Trek Into Darkness, 12 Years as a Slave, 12 Years a Slave, American Hustle, that's a fantastic movie, Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Prisoners, Captain Phillips, Dallas Buyers Club, and Short Term 12. Okay, so that gets us in the movie mindset. Wolf of Wall Street would probably be my favorite of those bunch right there. If there's other movies from 2013, let me know. Okay, so let's get started because we've got a long list. Now, before we actually get into the top 25, a couple sort of things that I want to mention. I've done a lot of live streams from some of these brands that I have not done individual reviews on. So for example, if you want to hear me talk about some of the popular niche fragrances from the time, for example, Memo's Italian Leather, or Xerjoff's Herba Pura, which I despise, or for example, Fragrance du Bois Oud Noir Intense, and Hiram Green's Moon Bloom, Rania J's Oud Assam. I have done live streams on each and every one of those houses. So if you go to my live streams and you find the name, you know, let's say it'll be Rania J live stream, you'll hear me talking about all of her fragrances in one place. If you go to the Xerjoff live stream, obviously there's too many Xerjoffs for one place, but you'll see 6 to 8 fragrances in multiple live streams on the Xerjoff live streams. Same thing for Memo. And I actually have a decant of M. Michelaf's Royal Vintage, which I think is a Aventus clone, not clone, but inspired by. I've got some decants of Royal Vintage, thanks to one of you very kind fragrance godfathers out there, god people out there. So I will be doing a review of that. That came out in 2013. I have a sample of Andy Tower's Rose de Kandahar, which I'm very excited about, talking about that with you guys. That came out in 2013. I have Roja's Enigma for women, Pour Femme. Well, I don't even think they call it Pour Femme. I think it's literally just called Roja's Enigma, but I've got a nice fat 5 ml decant. This is actually a really nice floral fragrance, which I'll do a review on one of these days. That came out in 2013, and so there are some either live streams you can check out or other samples that I will be talking about that are not in this ranked list. Okay, that out of the way, let us get started. So top 25, before I start, again, I have to remind everybody, this is my personal opinion. Please, if I rank your favorite fragrance last, don't get butthurt about it, okay? I'm not saying 1 is better than 10. I'm not saying 10 is better than 25. This is just my personal opinion, and it is subject to change. I feel like I need to give one of those disclaimers on like the radio advertisements, you know. Ramsey's personal opinion today can only matter today, cannot be held accountable or liable for anything that happens. So anyways, just know that I'm not putting any of your fragrances down. This is just my personal opinion, and if you ask me tomorrow, it's bound to change. But I think this is a fun way to talk about a lot of fragrances. Okay, number 25, and interesting that this goes last on the list, because yesterday I reviewed a Xerjoff, starting off on the wrong foot. Come on, Ramsey. It is 7:30, and I have worked all day. I'm still in my work clothes, so there may be some slip-ups in some of these videos. But this is from the house of Bond Number 9, and yesterday I reviewed a Bond Number 9 that got a thumbs up from me. Not that I give ratings or thumbs up or anything like that, but it was a positive review, and it was called Silver Factory. Okay, I think it was renamed to Silver Bond and then discontinued altogether. But and I said in that video, there are some good Bond Number 9s, but there's also some Bond Number 9s that are very, very bad to my nose. This is one I despise. I hate this fragrance. Don't ask me why I have a bottle of it. This is called The Scent of Peace for Him. Now, Bond Number 9, the Scent of Peace for Him, is a Aventus inspired by fragrance, let's call it. And it was created by, I don't know who the perfumer is, it doesn't say, but it's pineapple, juniper berry, bergamot, blackcurrant, cedarwood, vetiver, musk, moss, and patchouli. And the thing about the Scent of Peace for Him that really bothers me, well, number 1, personally, I'm an Aventus fan, okay? So if I ever wear this, which I hardly ever do, but when I have worn it as my scent of the day, all I'm thinking all day is, damn, why didn't I just wear Aventus? What am I doing, number 1? And number 2, there is this synthetic aspect to it. I think the juniper berry is turned up, the dial on it is turned up substantially, and it gives it this extra fresh synthetic feel to my nose. It feels extra synthetic to my nose, and so because of that, it's like It's like a mallet pounding against the side of my head all day long. And I struggle with this one. I'm not going to lie. This will not be a good review. Maybe the coolest thing about it is the bow tie. I will not lie. But other than the bow tie, this is probably going to get bashed on Channel Ram. So that's number 25 from Bond number 9, The Scent of Peace for him. Number 24 is actually a fragrance by the house of, Reyane Tradition, which is a clone house basically, or an inspired by house. And this is actually a good fragrance. I don't talk about clones very much on the channel, hardly ever. But this is one I actually really like. So I've mentioned a previous clone that I thought was really good on maybe even the last video from 2012. And it was called Lalique by Versace. It was a Tom Ford's Tuscan leather clone. This is a clone of, or an inspired by fragrance of Thierry Mugler's Amen Pure Havane, which is actually discontinued, according to Perfume. Some people say that this smells like a mixture of Pure Havane and Naxos. But I actually like this better than Naxos. I really did not like Naxos. This is called Insurrection 2 Wild. And actually, for a clone or inspired by fragrance, kind of cool packaging, I must admit. And, you know, everything doesn't feel super cheap, feeling in the packaging or the fragrance. I mean, look at this. And if you like something like Pure Havane or Naxos, I think you'd like this. It's a honeyed tobacco with some Cyrax, labdanum, and amber in the base, some cacao, vanilla, patchouli. It's just, you know what? I think we may even spray. We may spray some of these fragrances today because you know what? These videos are supposed to be celebrations. So screw it. Hang on one second. Let me grab some blotters. Let us spray. Okay. So, I guess I should make a note of what I'm going to be spraying, though. I really don't need to spray this one, because it's basically Insurrection 2. I mean, it smells so close to Pure Havane, but it's really good, actually. This is my Pure Havane backup, let's say. Yeah, I like it. I mean, I really do. Is it one for one? No. But if you like that DNA of Pure Havane or Naxos, maybe there's a little bit more of this chocolatey, you know, gourmand feel here. It is very sweet. It's maybe even sweeter than Pure Havane. I don't know if it's as sweet as Naxos, though. I think Naxos may even be sweeter, but this is good. I like this, and I can't remember what I paid for this, but it wasn't much. I don't think it was more than 20 bucks. And it's 100 mil, I believe. 90 mil. 90 mil. I mean, again, look at that bottle. I mean, I don't know if you got a chance to see, but the side has this, like, kind of gold plaque with the writing down. I mean, that looks pretty primo for an inspired by cheapie. So, yes, number 24 is Insurrection 2 Wild from 2013. All right, number 23 is a Serge Lutens. Now, for those of you who know, Serge Lutens is one of my favorite niche houses. And so to see it this low is probably a shock for most people, because most people, when they watch my videos, they see Serge Lutens much closer to the top, okay? So, but this one is one of those Serges, and there's just some of, every house has some of these where it's a struggle, okay? It's a struggle. It's not that the fragrance is bad per se, but this is a struggle. This one was actually a gift. Someone who is connected with the House of Serge, I won't give away much more than that, we'll call him a benefactor, very kindly reached out and said, hey, I want to send you some Serges. And I actually have a live stream where I opened them up on camera, did a little bit of an unboxing, and this was one of them. He just sent them to me for free. He said, hey, I want to send you some. You know, we use these in my work, and sometimes we have a lot of extra bottles, so I want to send you some. I said, great, send them. He said, talk about them, don't talk about them, I don't care. But this was one of them. And this one's called La Vierge de Feu. La Vierge de Feu. And so this is basically a fragrance that has 2 notes listed, okay? And, oh man, I can't see. There we go. And so it is the 2 notes that are listed. You know what? It's just, oh God, this would be kryptonite for Rich Mitch. This would be absolute kryptonite for Rich Mitch, because it opens up with this huge, traditionally feminine white floral. Okay, huge lily note as is listed. In the comments, some of the comments are actually really good on this one. One person writes, "The Iron Maiden" is the title, calls it a torture device. This vegetal ghost of like a coldness, like a metallic coldness. Another person says that it's like a stainless steel kitchen, like lily flowers inside of a stainless steel kitchen. Those are all fantastic description. A torture device made out of stainless steel, a stainless steel kitchen. There's definitely this cold, strange, metallic. It's very Serge Lutens, but it's focused around this white floral that is anything but elegant to me. In fact, I mean, maybe it's elegant on a woman, but for me, I would have a really hard time wearing this. And I love wearing women's fragrances. There are some fragrances that are, especially the old Guerlains and stuff like that. There's some women's fragrances in this list we're going to talk about that I love wearing. But this one's tough for me. This one's very, very tough. Very, very tough. It's just this, there's something so traditionally feminine about it, because the focus is so much on that white floral note, but just like he did with Iris Silver Mist, there's this weird, strange coldness, but it comes from this mineral-like feel. It's basically like what they call a mineral note. So just imagine this mineralic, stainless steel coldness that is encompassing the lily. You know, like a lily growing out of a piece of iron ore or something. It's very strange. Very, I would guess 90% or more women would prefer to own this, and maybe 10% men. But yeah, that is a tough Serge Lutens. I will not lie. But sometimes with Serge, it's something where you just have to spend time with it. You know, the more you wear it, the more you spend time with it, the more you get to uncover kind of its secrets, and the more you learn to love it. So granted, I have not spent very much time with it, because every time I spray it, I'm like, oh my God, that's a rough one. So number 23 is Serge Lutens La Vierge de Feu. Number 22 is an Aramis, and this is from their discontinued Perfume Calligraphy line. From when we did our 2012 video, you saw the original Perfume Calligraphy, and this is a flanker called Perfume Calligraphy Rose. And this was actually another gift by a very kind friend in the community. And Perfume Calligraphy Rose is considered to be like a floral oriental, but done in the Middle Eastern style. So there's no oud in here technically, but there's lots of frankincense and labdanums and ambergris and musks and stuff like that. And there's this Turkish rose absolute that's mixed with myrrh. And so you get the idea, this Middle Eastern style, floral oriental, very resinous. There's a very interesting note of honeysuckle and oregano in the top. And calligraphy rose. And saffron, and there's a huge saffron note in here. So imagine just a giant hit of saffron. I mean, I much prefer this style of florals to the Serge Lutens, just personal taste for me. Some people hate these Middle Eastern fragrances. I am not one of those people. I actually really like the way Middle Eastern perfumery is done. Yeah, and so the oregano adds a little bit of this contrast, this dry, green, herbal feel. And obviously oregano was a note in 2012 that was used in Interlude Man, which if you go watch my video, you can see just how highly I rated Interlude Man from 2012. So 1 year later already, and so this is why I like to bunch them together by years, is you can almost see the inner workings of the executives and the perfumers and watching other brands and how trends the wave of trends kind of affects the industry. the rose note in here is beautiful. And to be fair, I think they really thought about men wearing this as well. I think that many Western men may see this and think, oh, this is a women's fragrance. It's not, because they use things like French lavender and some other things that I think make it perfectly unisex. Yes, there are a lot of florals with the honeysuckle and Turkish rose, absolute. But there's also things I love in my fragrances like frankincense, labdanum, musk, ambergris, styrax, myrrh, and that saffron note gives it that Middle Eastern appeal and offsets some of those other florals. So I really like this. I like the warmth of the myrrh in here, that oriental base. Beautiful, very beautiful. Discontinued, unfortunately, but I will review this one of these days. Perfume Calligraphy Rose by Aramis. Okay, so that is number 22. Number 21 is a fragrance I don't have to spray because I actually just wore this a couple weeks ago. And this is a Byredo. This is also a gift from a friend, actually, believe it or not. A2 reached out and said, hey, I want to send you some things that I think you would like or that I don't hear you talk about on the channel. I own 0 Byredos, okay? So this is actually the first Byredo ever. And it's funny because someone was like, a Byredo on Channel Ram? And to be fair, I was expecting it to be much worse than it is. I actually kind of like it. It's a spicy, leathery amber. They call it black amber, which I don't know what that is. Probably just some version of the amber molecules that they use. It was perfumed by Jerome Epinay in 2013. And this is called 1996. 1996 Inez and Vinoodh. And apparently, the story is that the fragrance was created in collaboration with Dutch photographers Inez van Lamswoerd and Vinoodh Matadin, inspired by their photograph Kirsten 1996. And here it is. Here's the photograph. It was originally only a Christmas gift for their friends. In 2014, this fragrance won the Fifi Award for Best New Independent Fragrance. And of course, the story, which is kind of humorous. It's like every story every perfume house ever tries to sell you, right? The story is this was only supposed to be for our friends, but the feedback was so overwhelmingly positive that we just had to go out and make it a perfume. Our friends wouldn't allow us not make this into a fragrance, is basically what it says. Or something along those lines to that effect. But the first Byredo I've ever owned in my collection. And as far as like a warm, ambery, there's lots of this sort of patchouli, amber, you know, vanillic feel in the base. But it's cut with iris, leather, violet. There's a little bit of juniper and black pepper in the base. So it comes across as definitely ambery as the first thing you're going to notice. The amber and vanilla is front and center. It's just that kind of oriental style fragrance, but it's cut with some other things that I like. So I'll review this one of these days. I need to wear it more. I've only worn it once as my scent of the day, but it was a positive experience, let's say. So Byredo's 1996. So there you have it at number 20. Number 20. 21. Now number 20, we have one of 2 Imaginary Author full bottles that I actually own. And this one's called Cape Heartache. So I have not reviewed, whoops, let's put this the right way, Ramsey. I have not reviewed very much from this brand. I've only reviewed 1 or 2 on the channel. So I need to pick up my Imaginary Author reviewing ship. But this one, with all the very interesting things there, the buck, the lighthouse, the axe, the wood, and really, if you take a look at the note listing, Douglas fir, pine resins, western hemlock, vanilla leaf, strawberry, old growth, and mountain fog. There's always like an imaginary note in there. This reminds me, the DNA reminds me a little bit of something like Arso by Perfume Roma. You know, it's in that category, let's say, but this is a little bit more playful because there's this strawberry. You might have noticed this strawberry note in here. And the strawberry reminds me when I was a little kid, very small, maybe first grade, I had a lunchbox, or a pencil box it was, not a lunchbox, excuse me, it was a pencil box. And it had a sticker that actually felt like the sticker on the front of this bottle. And you would scratch it, and it would smell like straw. It was literally a strawberry sticker, but you would scratch it and it would smell like a strawberry. And that thing must have smelled like strawberries for years. It was unbelievable. God knows what they used to make those things last that long. But the strawberry note in here reminds me of that heavily. There's not very many strawberry fragrances, or not many that I come across, let's say. It's a note that is used less often than raspberry and stuff like that nowadays. So the strawberry note in here makes this a little bit unique. I obviously prefer wearing things like Arso much more, but for a playful touch, this is pretty interesting. So I'll review Cape Heartache one of these days from 2013 by Imaginary Authors. And the perfumer is Josh Meyer. Josh Meyer is the perfumer from the House of Imaginary Authors. There's so many from the brand that I have not smelled. I have a whole bunch of samples that I need to get into one of these days. So I guess you would consider this woody and fruity is the way that it's described. I would also consider it very green with that forest-like accord. If you just look at the color of the bottle, it kind of gives you an idea. That foresty green accord really comes through. So yes, very interesting. Pine, you know, coniferous-like notes. So good stuff at number 20. Number 19. Number 19 is a Versace, and this is one that I know a bunch of you are going to be like, oh God, no way is this number 19. But I actually really like this accord, and these type of fragrances I just like, period. I can't help myself. It's kind of like a guilty pleasure. I know I should not like it, but I do. I like it. This is Versace Pour Homme's Oud Noir, with the Medusa head right there in the middle. And Versace Pour Homme Oud Noir is Versace's foray into the never-ending oud game, because you have to remember that after Oud Wood in 2007 took off, and I think it took it some time to take off. I don't think it was like a huge hit in 2007 instantly. I think it ended up being like 2008, 9, 10, 11. That's when the oud craze just exploded, and Oud Wood was the tip of the spear. But of course, anyone who was anyone put out an oud fragrance by then. And so this is Versace going right along with the trend. And what's interesting is, if you know the original Versace Man, which came out in the early 2000s, and there's a lot of accords in Versace Pour Homme Oud Noir that you can find in Versace Man, which I'll review on the channel. That's actually discontinued. This one is still available. There were rumors it was going to be discontinued, but it is still being marketed by Euro Italia. It's pepper, bitter orange, neroli. Actually, I've got the note listing here. Let's see if they match up. Or do I? No, I do not. I'm sorry. I do not. Even though it's a tester, it doesn't say. It just says it's a woody oriental. So pepper, bitter orange, neroli, frankincense, cardamom, saffron, oud, patchouli, and leatherwood. And so leatherwood is a accord that you find in things like Tom Ford for Men, and a bunch of other fragrances like what else? Nude Bond Street by Bond Number 9 uses it. Leather and Armagnac by Sense of Wood. I'm not familiar with that. Leatherwood is literally the name by Odor Mio. So it's a note that you will have found in other fragrances. And I think, you know, this is a good, like, first oud fragrance, okay? So this is not something I think that's going to blow anyone away. This is going to be their take on that oud wood DNA, with lots of probably that black oud molecule that's in a ton of oud fragrances, you know, the oud accord, if you will. It's funny, someone once told me, you can never say there's no oud in here, Ramsey, because technically, even if there's no oud, you know, they could grab an oud branch and stir the damn thing and say that there's oud in here. So technically, you have no clue the tricks the houses have up their sleeves. I'm not saying Versace does that, but I'm just saying that this blossomed into a money-making industry, a huge moneymaker, because the big oil houses created oud accords that cost almost nothing to produce. They could produce gallons of it for the same price that, you know, you would get this tiny little drop of real oud, and they are just pumping these fragrances out. And the sad part is, I like it. I actually really like these kind of fragrances. It's just something it's just in me. I just do. I just like this DNA, this accord, whatever you want to call it. And so even though the oud abounds, and even though I feel like my love and appreciation for real oud has jumped by leaps and bounds over these last couple years since I've had the channel. I still appreciate stuff like this every now and then. I just can't help myself. So Versace Pour Homme Oud Noir at number 19. Number 18 is another cheapie. At least it was for the longest time. I don't know if it still is, but this is called Bentley for Men Intense. And Bentley for Men Intense is a Nathalie Lorson creation. All right. One of my favorite perfumers. I think she is just an amazing perfumer. I really like the way that she works. This there's a boozy rum note in here. There is this sort of black pepper incense thing that she loves, mixing this peppery incense with woods in the base, and she does such a great job. The only problem I have with Bentley for Men Intense, the only problem is that I have a fragrance from the house of Luban, and it is called Idole de Luban, and I have the vintage Eau de Toilette, which is discontinued, impossible to find, and it's a very similar DNA, and I actually like wearing that more. Although, I must say, for 20 bucks, or whatever the hell this goes for at discounters, 30 bucks for 100 mils, whatever it is, this is very good because you get little hints of, the rum-like booze, you get hints of the smoke, African geranium, and you get hints of the leather, the ambery touch, the labdanum, the patchouli, and the woods. So spicy, woody, just a well-made fragrance. I mean, Nathalie Lorson is like the queen of $20, $30 fragrances, but she makes them smell amazing. This is, I think Lalique is the distributor of these Bentley fragrances. Yeah, it is. It's Lalique. And we're going to get to another Lalique fragrance that's even higher on the list for me. One of my favorite vetiver fragrances of all time. And so I think Lalique just makes amazing perfume. 2013 was a great year for them. So Bentley for Men Intense. If you're into boozy fragrances, this is a great cheapie to kind of get your nose on what a boozy fragrance smells like, what that accord smells like, before you go after some of the higher end ones, which are actually on this list. So Bentley for Men Intense comes in at number 18. Number 17. Number 17 is our first Roja. Not our last, but our first. There's multiple Rojas on this list. This one is at number 17 because it has some of the worst longevity of any Roja fragrance I've ever come across. It is also discontinued, believe it or not. So I think this whole line, the Oud, the Aoud as he writes it, but it's supposed to be pronounced Oud, Musk Oud, and the other one is, oh gosh, what's the other one? There is, oh, now I'm going to have to look it up. This cannot stand. I have to know. Amber Oud. Amber Oud is, if you said, Ramsey, you can pick one of the three, Amber Oud would probably be the one that I would go for. But I do have a pretty fat decant of the original Oud, and I have not reviewed that on the channel yet, so I will review the original Oud. But Musk Oud I have reviewed, and so that's the one that we're talking about today from 2013. Musk Oud, and the longevity on this is absolutely horrendous on me. At least, you know, the first hour, it's a beautiful fragrance, and you get a lot of the similar DNA to the original Oud, which again I haven't reviewed, but I will soon, and lots of ambrette. Okay, so you get this like musky ambrette in the base, which I love ambrette. Ambrette is an ingredient that you'll find in things like Dior Homme, and you know, it's actually a pretty expensive ingredient. It's a plant that gives off this musk-like accord, but it's very unique. Some people say it has like a liqueur vibe to it. You know, some people say it can smell leathery and musky, of course, but it's this overall build that if you've smelled the original Oud or Amber Oud from Roja Parfums, you'll kind of get in the DNA, but there's some things that are changed around. You can go check out my full review of Musk Oud. I also have reviewed Amber Oud, but I have not reviewed the OG, so I'll go back and do that soon. But I don't know. This one never moved me. It really never moved me like I wanted it to. Some of the things I wanted to be amped up weren't. and the longevity on it was awful. And I usually don't complain about that, but when you're talking about what this was selling for at the time, I just expected more, is what it is. But it's still, if you've got the money to just reapply constantly, this stuff is amazing. But sometimes this DNA, his oud, the 3 original ouds that he did, they give me a little bit of a headache sometimes. Very few fragrances do that, but this is one of the ones that does. So, but I still like it. Number 17, Roja's Musk Oud. Number 16 is a Histoire de Parfum. And I can't remember if I've reviewed this on the channel or not yet. I think I might have, but I'll have to double check. But if I haven't, I will very soon. This is called 1899 by Histoire de Parfum. And 1899 is a fragrance that falls into a very similar category as something like Spice Bomb, or a fragrance which I know I've reviewed on the channel called Initio's Rehab. Rehab is probably one of the best Initios I've come across, and it smells a lot like Spice Bomb. But so does 1899. It's like a niche version of Spice Bomb. There was some juniper and black pepper, Italian bergamot, cinnamon, Florentine iris, orange blossom, vanilla, amber, and vetiver. Gerard Guisalane is the creative director and owner of the brand, I believe, of Histoire de Parfum. And I think this is a really underrated house. I've done some reviews from some of their fragrances, and more still to come. There's still some more Histoire de Parfum reviews I've been sitting on for a long time. And if I haven't done this one, this is definitely going to be one of the better ones. It's one of the reasons why I don't own Spice Bomb. And there's some good ones from the house coming up, but yes, 1899 is definitely a good one. But if you have Spice Bomb or Rehab by Initio, it might be a little bit, you know, these houses were all, you can tell they were all looking at each other trying to put out this similar DNA. So, but I do like this, 1899 by Histoire de Parfum. And then at number 15, we've got a discontinued Tom Ford, which a lot of people want me to hurry up and review. I want to get to know it a little bit better. You know what? This fragrance gets hyped to the max because it's discontinued and hard to find, but I don't find anything particularly just jaw-dropping about this fragrance. I think it's good, but I don't think it's as good as some people make it out to be, and it is Plum Japonais. So Plum Japonais is basically a fragrance that it was created by Jan Vasnier, and it is this oud with plum liqueur, this Japanese camellia flower, which I always thought camellia was a mute flower, some immortelle, amber, benzoin, saffron, cinnamon, vanilla, saguaro cypress. But the thing about Plum Japonais is, I don't know, it some people make it seem like this is like one of the all-time great Tom Fords, and I just completely disagree. I mean, that plum liqueur note in the opening is interesting and nice. I just don't think there's anything super extraordinary or special about it. I think some people just see something's discontinued and they instantly start hyping it up. But Plum Japonais is one that was, you know, it's, sometimes people want you to bash something or just fall in love with it. And this is one that's kind of the middle of the road. I don't think it's a bad fragrance. I just don't think it's anywhere near as good as what some people say it is, in my opinion. But yes, that will get a review one of these days. Plum Japonais by Tom Ford at number 15. Number 14. Number 14 is a decant, and it's a decant that I actually have a full review on the channel. You can check it out. I would love a bottle of this one day. I thought this was really, really good stuff. It was by the house of Comme des Garcons, and it was called Black. So Black is a very smoky, spicy fragrance by Comme des Garcons. Comme des Garcons loves these industrial-like fragrances, right? And this falls right into that. Just imagine sort of this, black-smelling, like, floor that you put down in your garage, right? Just imagine, like, coating your garage floor with this industrial coat. And it's black, it's got birch tar, there's pepper wood in here, which, go figure, it actually smells like pepper and wood. It's a Givaudan ingredient that's supposed to smell like a woodery. It's said to have a woody, peppery odor profile. So I've told you this before. These guys are not the best at naming. They're amazing oil producers. They are not poets. So pepper, wood, licorice, leather, Somalian frankincense, Madagascar pepper, and a base of cedar wood and vetiver. So go check out my review. I think the perfumer here, even though it's not listed in Parfumo, I actually made a note. February 15th of 2023, exactly 1 year ago to the day, interestingly enough. This must have been my review from 1 year ago today. I made a note. Guillaume Flavigny, sorry about that. Apologies for absolutely annihilating your name. Frenchmen everywhere are like, ah! But yes, black is a Comme des Garçons that I think is full bottle worthy for sure, and I would love to try more from the brand. There's a lot of Comme des Garçons I've never smelled. I haven't smelled so many from that, you know, from their collection, their Pebble bottle collection. There's a lot I have not smelled. So definitely a house I'd like to dive more into, but black definitely gets a thumbs up from me at number 14. Number 13. Now, this is where I think I have to separate my taste from sort of what I think is the best fragrance objectively, because objectively, if I was rating this would probably be towards the top. But there are other fragrances I just enjoy wearing more than this. And at number 13, we have Amouage Fate Woman. So like I said, objectively, one of the fragrances of the year of 2013. Fate Woman is an amazing sort of, let me spray this. It's been a while since I've sprayed it. But Fate Woman is an amazing Oriental style Chypre. It's almost like, to me, Fate Woman smells a little bit like if you took this opium scent profile and did this Amouage twist with it, right? So you started to do things like they added an interesting chili note in the top. Probably one of the best chili notes I've ever smelled. This and A Taste of Fragrance by Thierry Mugler. People call that pure chili, but that has a chili note. But the chili note in here is even more realistic. And they've mixed it with amazing florals, rose, jasmine, narcissus. There's a ton of frankincense in here. There's pepper in the top, so it feels like you're smelling peppery frankincense, but it doesn't come across like you're smelling church incense, okay? So it's not like Bois d'Encens or Avignon. Yesterday when I reviewed Bond Number 9's, Silver Factory, I said that that's a unique incense, and this feels very similar, but it almost feels like a traditional Chypre, like an Oriental Chypre. And there's some castoreum, so there's animalic aspects in here. There's leathery aspects in here. It's such an amazing... Dorothy P.O. is the perfumer. She comes up again in a couple more fragrances. I think she's a very underrated perfumer. Very, resinous, and the florals are unbelievable. You know, feels like a Chypre Oriental merge. It's brilliant. And I've got pretty sure I have a review on the channel. If I don't, I will. I will review this very soon. But yes, Fate Woman by Amouage at number 13. Number 12. Number 12 is, again, where I think objectively we have to I have to set everything aside, because I'm ranking this higher because I enjoy wearing it more, mostly because I have such a history with this fragrance. You know, there's a lot of memories attached to me wearing this fragrance. I think they would have to be switched if I wanted to be objective. I think the woman's version is better than this, but the man's version is just something that I have to rank higher because I have so many memories made with this fragrance. So Amouage Fate Man comes in at number 12. And can we just take a moment, please, to just bask in the glory of these bottles. These are some of my favorite bottles in my whole collection. I think they're brilliant. I think this is how you do elegant. I don't think it's tacky at all. I think some brands do elegant, very tacky. We'll look at some here in a little bit. This, I think, is proper elegance to me. I don't think this is tacky at all. I love this. But that's just me. Some people may disagree. That's my taste. So Fate Man, I don't have to spray. I know this fragrance like the back of my hand. This is one of the biggest blasts of cumin you will ever find in a fragrance. It's right out of the gate. Cumin, saffron, absinthe, ginger. There's everlasting flower and so immortelle, labdanum, cistus labdanum, frankincense, copiba balsam, French spike lavender, licorice, cedarwood, sandalwood, musk, and tonka bean. And so this fragrance, most people don't give a chance to, because that opening blast can smell like an Indian restaurant, they say. It can smell sweaty. I mean, I mentioned earlier that Rich Mitch hate white florals. This is his nemesis right here. The white floral, the sort of stainless steel metallic white floral. Well, this is his nemesis with cumin. He also hates cumin. And so this is an absolutely, it can be very challenging. But it's one of the fragrances that made me fall in love with challenging fragrances is the thing. That's why I had to put this higher. Even though I don't think it's a better fragrance than the women's version, it speaks to me because of what we've been through together. Me and this bad boy have had some days together, and I love Fate Man. So so Fate Man comes in at number 12. Number 11. And you guys may be shocked this is above the Amouages. Some of the Amouages. There's more Amouage to come. But this just goes to show price does not always equate to value, right? Sometimes a perfumer like Nathalie Lorson, for Lalique again, can create an amazing fragrance. And this is a flanker of Encre Noire. So at number 11, we have Encre Noire Sport. Now, this is one of the most realistic smelling vetiver fragrances I've ever smelled. Now, vetiver, as you guys know, most vetiver is real. So whenever you see a vetiver note in perfume, a lot of times they are using actual vetiver. There's vetiveryl acetate and some other things that can be used, but really, there's not a true proper replacement for a vetiver. So all vetiver, basically, you can make the assumption that when you see a vetiver note, you're smelling actual vetiver. And it's the root of the grass that they actually use. So sometimes vetiver can come across as inky and rooty and dark, and that's the whole point of Encre Noire. But this is the sport version. So she decided to mix it with things to make it fresher, to be worn in summer. And this makes it more green. Instantly you're going to notice a couple things on your nose. You're going to pick up that Encre Noire DNA. Nathalie Lorson made it front and center, okay? So you're going to get the bourbon vetiver and Haitian vetiver combo, and you're going to get that musky cashmeran thing that she does in the base with the bergamot in the top, okay? And the cypress. But she's added a couple of things here to make it summery. And that summery addition is the grapefruit, which I'm getting. I'm definitely getting the grapefruit now, and the provincial lavender. So, and aquatic notes as well. So lavender, aquatic notes added, which you think this is the last fragrance that deserves a sport flanker, right? But it just works. It's brilliant. And the vetiver in here smells, to me, it smells just as high class as vetiver fragrances that go for $500 a bottle. I swear to God. Encre Noire is one of the best value for money fragrances out there. I will die on that hill. I think this whole line, the original Encre Noire Sport, and Encre Noire à l'Extrême are just banger fragrances. So yes, Encre Noire Sport comes in at number 11. All right, top 10. Number 10, I actually don't have the sample, but I do have a full review on the channel. If you're someone who trusts my nose, check it out. It's an absolutely amazing fragrance. I would love a full bottle one of these days. I can show you what the bottles look like, thanks to my good friend Dushan. He sent me this little bad boy as a gift. This is Oriza El Legrand's Peau d'Espagne, but this is not the bottle. This is not the fragrance at number 10. This is just what their bottles look like with the tassel. The fragrance at number 10 is called Chypre Mousse. And Chypre Mousse came out in 2013, of course. And it is a fragrance that completely blew me away. One of the best Chypres I probably got my nose on in the last year that I don't have in my collection. You all know I'm a Chypre fanatic. I love things like Mitsuko, and I mean, you name a Chypre, I love it. And so this is one where when I smelled it for the first time, I was like, how do I not have you in my collection? Chypre Mousse is 100% full bottle worthy. And what I really liked about the brand is they seemed very reasonable, okay? It seems like you get a lot for your money. You know, everything seemed premium, but you didn't feel like you were getting bent over the barrel, right? So it's an earthy green chypre with clary sage, corn mint, wild fennel, green shoots, angelica, oak moss, clover, galbanum, mastic, fern, violet leaf, labdanum, oak moss, mushrooms, balsams, humus, which is like a soil note, pine needles, vetiver, leather, and roasted chestnut. So maybe one of the best mushroom notes I've smelled in a perfume. Absolutely stunning. Came out in 2013 because this brand is like a revitalized brand. This Oriza El Legrand, this is their logo for the double L, El Legrand. But it was a house that was around 100 or 120 years ago, and I think it died off, and they ended up revitalizing it and bringing some of their original, you know, compositions back to life is the idea of the brand. I would love a bottle of Chypre Mousse, so it's definitely on the list at number 10. You go back to your home. Go back to your home, Norn. Okay, number 9. Number 9 is a Javois. Speaking of good value for money niche houses, I think this is a very underrated niche house. Their boxes basically come like this. Very utilitarian box, easy to carry around with you. This is called Les Jeux Sans Fates. And Les Jeux Sans Fates basically means games are played or games are won or something like that. It's spicy, woody, and this is also created by Dorothy P.O. Remember I mentioned her earlier? And I mean, I love their presentation. You know, this feels like you're getting like a heavy crystal bottle. Love the cap, love everything about Javois. I need to smell more. There's still a bunch of Javois I have not smelled, but this is one of my all-time favorite Javois. It is a fragrance that most people think about being worn in the winter, and most people think about this fragrance being like a celebratory event. I think if I recall, AC from the channel Smells Good did an amazing review of this when he was still reviewing. I wish he would come back. I really miss listening to his reviews, but he said that this fragrance wears like a thin sheet. Like it wears like a thin veil over your skin. Even though there's all these heavy notes, it wears very thin, and I feel that. But as far as boozy fragrances go, remember I mentioned we would get some better boozy fragrances than Bentley for Men Intense? This is one in my book. It's Angelica, dried fruits, and gin with tobacco, cumin, and Cuban rum. So you have gin and rum, and labdanum, patchouli, vanilla, sandalwood, and cistus. Speaking of AC, he said this smells like a gentleman's club. And you know what? I totally get that. Like, imagine you're going out to a gentleman's club, you're going to have a nice dinner with friends, something like that. Just beautiful. And apparently, this is when Dorothy P.O. was working for Robertet. I don't know if she's still working for them or not, but, you know, I think Robertet is one of the perfume houses of many high-end brands. Wink, wink. And so this is one of them. And they do a very good job. So I'm a fan of Les Jeux Sans Fates. I will review this on the channel, although sometimes, you know, it feels like, man, when a reviewer nails it, like AC for the channel Smells Good did, it's very hard to feel like you have anything else to add on top of that. But I'm going to still try to review it one of these days. Les Jeux Sans Fates comes in at number 9. Number 8. Number 8, speaking of boozy scents, we're keeping it in the family. Number 8 is Roja's Enigma Pour Homme Parfum, or if you're in America, it'll be called Creation E, because Enigma was like a copyright issue. But this is a guilty pleasure fragrance. I should not love this as much as I do, but this is a fragrance that, when you first spray, smells like cola. It has this Coca-Cola feel. It's bergamot, heliotrope, geranium, may rose, neroli, but it's cognac and tobacco in the base. But really, in the base, I get a lot of benzoin and vanilla and lots of sweetened vanilla. And I love the opening. I love the cognac and tobacco. I have a comparison video between the Pure Parfum and the call them Parfum Colognes of the colored Roja bottles, if you will. So I have a comparison video on the channel. You can check that out. But you would think with me not liking sweet fragrances that this would be a hate, but this is a love. I love Enigma. And there's just something so elegant about it. It feels slightly leathery into the dry down, almost like suede-like, peppery, woody. Very, very good. Very, it just feels high class, you know, sitting in an expensive armchair, smoking an expensive cigar, drinking an expensive cognac. Apparently the cognac is actually the sediments in the bottom of the oak barrel can be used to create an essential oil. And so that is what they've done. So Creation E, go check out my comparison video if you're interested in learning more. But I love this stuff. I shouldn't, but I love it. And there's a Mancera fragrance called Tonka Cola, I believe, which I'm getting a decant sent to me. Someone reached out to me and they said, hey, I have a decanting service. And I want to send you some decants so you can talk about some fragrances that you have not talked about on the channel. And those are the kind of people that I'm perfectly fine accepting gifts from, because, you know, he doesn't care what I say about it. If I bash it, don't bash it, whatever it is, right? He just wants his shout out for his brand. And I completely understand. I'm perfectly fine with that. I said, yeah, absolutely. It lets me smell some stuff I never would otherwise. And, you know, it's not something like he's wanting me to say anything good or bad about a fragrance, because he just, you know, it's about kind of giving his brand the shout out, which I'll be glad to do. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I'm excited. Tonka Cola is one of the fragrances that are coming. I'm not a Mancera fan by any stretch, but I'm a huge cola fan. So I'm just curious what that's going to be like. Apparently, a lot of folks say it smells like this. But that came out last year. This came out in 2013. So, but that cola vibe and fragrances, I'm a huge fan of. So, okay, that was number 8. Number 7, staying with boozy fragrances. Want to roll. We might as well keep the ball rolling. One of my discontinued gem videos, my discontinued gem videos, that this is more than just a discontinued gem to me, because this is like a discontinued gem and a hidden gem in one. Very few people talk about the brilliance of this fragrance, but I'll tell you what, I got a chance to actually go to a distillery in 2023 in New Orleans, and I got a chance to smell some of the sediment from opening up the barrel and actually swiping some of the sediment. They were distilling all kinds of stuff there. Vodka, they had old Jack Daniels barrels where they were distilling whiskey and all kinds of different stuff. And I have never smelled a fragrance that nails that oak barrel note, you know, sediment-like smell as good as this. This is from the house of Diaz and Durga, and it is called Spirit of the Glen. Now, this is from the Highland series, and this is one of my favorite boozy fragrances of all time. You know, it's a lot of people will say it's Enigma or something like that. But the problem with Enigma is, Enigma pour Homme, is that, you know, you get so much more of the vanilla and all this other stuff. This one actually focuses on the booze. And here it is. It is a stone cold stunner. And I'm very sad it's discontinued. It's Scotch whiskey, pineapple weed, pear, grass. Oh, I mean, fuck. Oh. Limousine oak, more pineapple weed, hay, barley malt, bourbon whiskey barrel, and sherry cask note. They actually worked with the brand Glenlivet, hence Spirit of the Glen. So they literally worked with the brand Glenlivet to get that note spot on. And it's sad this is discontinued. This is one of those fragrances that I feel suffered from the niche house's need to constantly try and come out with new stuff or stuff that sells, because I think any frag head who's a fan of boozy fragrances, if they smelled this is a bottle. Like, seriously. I mean, for me, it was like, I need this. You know what I mean? Like, I've smelled a ton of boozy fragrances, and very rarely have I ever smelled one that does what this does. So, yes, Spirit of the Glen is a huge hit, and I've got a full review on the channel if you want to check that out. Okay. Next on the list, we have number 6. Number 6, I'm cheating a little bit because I have not reviewed it and I don't own a full bottle, but I've got a ton of samples, thanks to you guys. This is Amouage Opus 7. And Opus 7 is now called Reckless Leather. It's one of the ones that made it into the new collection, if you will. So I will be, I'll be reviewing this soon. Maybe even after I'm done with my Bortnikoff week. We'll see how this goes. But Opus 7 is a fragrance that combined two all-star perfumers, Alberto Morillas and Pierre Negrin. It's galbanum, cardamom, nutmeg, pink pepper, fenugreek, leather, oud, patchouli, ambergris, ambroxan, cypriol, frankincense, costus root, which sometimes costus root can smell like a wet dog. It can have this hair, like this human or animal hair aspect to it. Muscanone and or muscone and sandalwood. And so I will tell you this. This is so muscone is a main ingredient of natural musk. Today it's produced synthetically. These are the older Amouage samples, okay? So I don't know what the new one smells like. I don't know if it smells like this or if it smells different or what. I can't speak to the new version, okay? But I can tell you that this is a hell of a fragrance, especially if you like challenging animalic fragrances. There's a guy that I work with who's not into fragrances at all, but I gave him a sample of this, and he's like, I need this. And he's like, he's a guy who's not into fragrances yet, although he has the makings of a frag head. But he's like, he took one sniff of this and is basically like, I have to buy a bottle of this. Like, he's like, I wore it around my wife one time. She loved it. I'm like, I'm getting a bottle. And I told him to get the vintage bottle, so I'm steering him right. But yes, Opus 7 has to be on the list. It will be reviewed very soon at number 6. Number 5. This may be a little bit of a shocker for you guys, but I love this Amouage. I think it's one of the most underrated Amouages, and it's just so beautiful. You know, sometimes you just want to wear something that screams elegance, class, easy to wear, especially in the Texas heat. This smells amazing in the Texas heat. This is called Beloved Man. Look at the dent I've put in this. Sometimes this is one of those fragrances I just want to reach for. You know, it's got this smooth, floral, almost lemony, fresh elemi in the top, which gives you little hints of incense, but it's mixed with I think the best grapefruit. One of the best grapefruits I've ever smelled in a perfume. The grapefruit opening of this is just stunning. Grapefruit and orange with iris, saffron, geranium, and jasmine. The iris in here smells high class, and one of the few Amouages that dries down into a vetiver base. So it dries down to vetiver and woods with a little bit of leather, patchouli, and musk. It's stunning. I mean, the elemi gives hints of Amouage's history, and so this is on the to review list. I'm waiting for a beautiful spring day to wear that and review it for you guys. So Beloved Man at number 5. Number 4. Now we're into the real big hitters. Number 4, one of the all-time greats, one of the all-time great Tom Ford fragrances. This is Tobacco Oud. And Tobacco Oud is, you know, what can I say about Tobacco Oud that hasn't been said? I mean, it has hints of Amber Absolute in here, but it's more tobacco, more oud. There's this whiskey note, which is very appealing and attractive. You know, it spicy, smoky, rich, thick, dense. Olivier Guillotine is the perfumer here. Just amazing. Amazing stuff to me. I love Tobacco Oud. Huge fan. You know, it's it definitely I think if you smell Amber Absolute and then you smell Tobacco Oud and you read the note listing of Tobacco Oud, patchouli, and sandalwood, you'll have to come to the conclusion that there's more labdanum and other things in here to make that amber accord that are not listed, but very, very good. Very good. I've never smelled the intense version. People keep telling me you have to smell the intense version, Ramsey, but Tobacco Oud at number 4. Number 3. Number 3 is a beast. Look at this box. Roja's Haut Luxe. You know, I think, go watch my review. I have a full review on this before I got a bottle. Haut Luxe is a fragrance that, gold flakes. You know, I think a lot of people just get caught up in the price, obviously. And this is a fragrance that I have worn a lot of, because it's a fragrance that changes. It's a shapeshifter, okay? Thomas from the Early Greek channel did an amazing review on this, and he's spot on. This was meant to be a signature scent for Roja, according to the marketing, and so you don't want a fragrance that just is the same every single time. And so I think what happens is people spray this, and I got caught up in this at first. Spray it, and you smell something, and you think you've nailed it. Like, you think, okay, I figured this out. This is an easy fragrance. Why is it so expensive? But then you wear it again and you get other parts. You get a huge ylang-ylang note in here that's brilliant. Lots of ylang. Roja loves ylang, with beautiful jasmine from Grasse, May Rose. And this fragrance shares a similarity. If you go to Parfumo and type this in, it says it smells like Chypre Siam. I completely disagree with that. What I will tell you that it smells like is it shares a family tree, if you will, with Majestic Oud, which I've also reviewed on the channel, Roja's Majestic Oud, which is discontinued. And Majestic Oud has this sort of thick labdanum, styrax, vanilla accord thing in the base that shares some similarities with this, okay? So this is basically a floral chypre, or you could call it a ambery floral chypre, because of the heavy labdanum. There's a lot of labdanum in here. That's the other thing. As I reviewed Le Lion recently, and I said that Le Lion is one of the best labdanum fragrances I've ever smelled, and that is 100% true. I think if I ranked my labdanum fragrances, Le Lion would be #1. But the labdanum in this is fucking impressive. It's obviously a chypre, so Roja calls it a chypre wrapped in cashmere, okay? I don't think there's any cashmeran in here, but I get where he's going. There's definitely this floral cashmere sweater thing going on. It's also spicy. And so you just get all of these, you know, kaleidoscope of colors and shapes and ingredients, and they hit you differently on different days. It's classy. It's elegant. It's, you know, I've worn this to important client events. I've worn this to many traveling to branches and all kind of different things for work I have to do. And it works beautifully. I think it is a fragrance that people are receptive to. And if you're a chypre lover, I think this is definitely one to try. Okay, definitely one to try. The accord and the way that it wears and changes, it will definitely keep your attention. And that's the reason I keep going back to it. Plus, I'm a chypre lover. I love chypres, and this is an amazing one. So, Houtluxe, when I reviewed it, I called it a Roja wrapped in a guirlande. And you know what? There's some damn truth to that. I think that was mean. I think that was mean Ram coming out. But you know what? There is truth to that. It does have this vintage guirlande feel. But I love vintage guirlande, so it's very hard not to like that. Okay, Roja's Houtluxe at #3. #2 is the other second sample I don't have. I didn't have the sample of Chypre Mousse, and I also don't have the sample of Tom Ford's Sahara Noir at #2. Sahara Noir for me is maybe the greatest Tom Ford ever released. If you are a labdanum lover, I mentioned Le Lion. Sahara Noir would be the runner-up challenger, okay? I said the labdanum in Roja's Houtluxe, or Roja by Roja, if you will want to be proper, from 2013, is amazing, and it is. But the labdanum in Sahara Noir knocks the Roja down a peg. I mean, the labdanum in Sahara Noir, the cistus, the labdanum with the frankincense and the incense, and the oud note and the beeswax and the papyrus, that papery, dry papyrus note, smoky, resinous, spicy, you know, woody, all of these. It's got this bitter orange calamus cypress thing going on in the top. One of the most mind-blowing fragrances of all time. I would love, absolutely love a bottle of Sahara Noir one day. It's discontinued, impossible to find, but it's on my never-ending wish list. So that leaves #1. And honestly, this wasn't even hard. This wasn't easy. I put this here when I started the video. I plopped this at #1. Nothing dethroned it. And I knew nothing would. That's the way I build these videos sometimes, is I know what the king is, and I got to really think, is anything going to knock this down? And then I kind of build around it, and nothing did. And in fact, not only is this an easy #1 for me, but I think that this is the greatest flanker of all time. Okay, period. This is my opinion. The greatest flanker of all time is Bel-Ami Vetiver. This is a Jean-Claude Elena masterpiece. Speaking of Chypres, my fucking God. I mean, as a lover of Bel-Ami, God, this oily, woody, smoky leather just... I love this stuff. Parfumo only shows leather and vetiver, which I know is bullshit. I'm sure there's so much more going on. I am absolutely terrified to review this thing. I haven't reviewed the original. Bel-Ami is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. Somehow I got the courage to review Antaeus, and that's one of my favorite fragrances of all time. But Bel-Ami, I've just been, it's like there's a block. I can't get myself to review it. I need more time with it. I keep telling myself I need more time with this, and you can see the dent I put in this. I love this fragrance. I mean, this could easily be a signature scent for me. I know I said Bel-Ami could be a signature scent, but this could be, it's like a more modernized Bel-Ami. The vetiver somehow makes it more wearable. And unlike many Jean-Claude Elenas, a lot of people give Jean-Claude Elena a hard time for being a perfumer who likes soft and likes to use these watercolor-like paint, feelings to his fragrances, and they're very soft and light, and, they're not heavy and dense. This fragrance is the opposite of that. This fragrance is Jean-Claude Elena putting his personal style aside and going, okay, motherfuckers, you want heavy? Here you go. And bam. I mean, this is backup bottle worthy, to be honest with you. That's how good it is. And the flanker he did for Equipage, I think, is amazing. So, yes, but Bel-Ami Vetiver is, I mean, what can I even say about it? I need to wear it more, and I need to review it for you guys along with Bel-Ami. That's what I need to say. So, anyways, we're a little bit over an hour. Thanks, as always, for watching. Let me know what your favorites are from the list. Top 25 from 2013. Fuck. We went through a lot in an hour. My voice is absolutely shot. So, time for some water. Cheers, guys. Appreciate everyone watching. Love the feedback. Thank you to everyone who pushed us over the 7,000 subscriber mark. We are growing very quickly, actually. We're adding something like 500 subscribers a month. So, our numbers will continue to grow at that pace. And I'm just very grateful to all of you who love kind of interacting with me and watching the videos and, sharing the content. And, I've said it before, but the community is really where it's like a well of knowledge. And I always learn more from you guys than you do from me. There's always a recommendation or a new fragrance or a sample someone sends me, or a bottle, like I mentioned with some of these very kind things that have been sent to me over the last couple of years since I started the channel. So anyways, appreciate everyone. Love you guys. Cheers. And I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.